Do you want to be the best?
It's never more. It's again this guy.
Do you want to be rich?
Нихуя.
Fine, let's hunt. I'm stunned on? I can't. I'm stunned. Control. Big stun. Oh my god. Team. Blood. I'm stunned. Big stun. Ultim vibe. Oh my god. Big, what the fuck, нахуй? Hello, I'm Nevermore. This is the ultimate Shadowstrix guide. In this video we'll break down the character's mechanics and solos and trio, cover tactics against most classes, and hear tips from the #1 Russian streamer and Shadowstrix player, Movies. Links to his socials are in description. I've been playing Shadowstrix since the first day of the game release. I practiced 8 hours a day, reviewed 3 plays, learned from my mistakes, watched streams, and eventually beat top players on the leaderboard. Now I'm sharing everything I've learned. I apologize in advance for my English, I just started learning the language. Let's start with abilities. We'll go over a universal playstyle that works in most matchups. Shadowstrix is a flexible character with several viable playstyles, but covering all of them would make this video too long. We'll touch on alternative options closer to the end. For dual blades, we always take Phantom Shift. It gives incredible mobility, chase down runners, escape bad fights, or even teleport back to confuse your opponent. Second skill is Spinning Slash. Use it to catch enemies after a dodge roll or to avoid deadly abilities. There is also Spinning Impale, but compared to Spinning Splash with Super Armor, it feels weaker and doesn't offer as many useful options. Not many choices here though. First skill, Flash Stride. Inside attack range, great for chasing or escaping in critical moments. Second, Shadow Strike. Landing, it gives you 2 free hits and lets you pierce the unbreakable shields of Withered Knight and Mercenary. Smoke is useless against experienced players. They hear you even if they can't see you. You can't hide your direction, and inside the smoke, you're just as blind as the enemy. Crow Storm has its moments, but is rarely effective. Good players will just jump out of it. In team play, it's a different story. We'll come back to this skill later. Talents. Most of our damage comes from dual blades. We switch to dagger only when needed. Battle Frenzy boosts damage and adds armor penetration. Lightweight, mandatory. Allows cancelling attacks with a roll, giving extra mobility and freedom in fights. Deep Charge. Extend Flurry Strike range. Great for punishing enemies who use potions or miss their attacks. Heavy Strike Mastery. Compensates for energy issues, useful when you're out of range for a normal attack or don't want to use a dodge attack. Bloodthirst Frenzy. Useful utility, Reflect Knight Spears and Blackarrow slowing shots. Unstoppable. Add Super Armor to Spinning Slash, almost nothing can interrupt your pressure. Remaining points go into teleport upgrades. Super Armor after use and the ability to blink back. Affixes. You can equip up to 8 affixes on legendary gear, 7 on epic and 5 on blue. Important, if you can afford it, buy a weapon that is 1 level higher than the rest of the equipment. The game has an equipment search. Your overall equipment rating will not skyrocket and you will still encounter players in blue gear, but the damage will increase and you will be able to fight on equal terms with players with better equipment. Let's look at the main affixes that we can't skip. Valor, permanent damage increase. Fervor, you can replace it with another damage node, but recommended keep it. Shadowstrix utilizes it at full potential. Elusive, reduces roll cost. Vitality, boost energy pool, and once per minute prevents energy redraft. If you use a skill that costs more energy than you have. Aegis, improves survivability against physical damage. Stoic, adds resistances and heals you once every 2 minutes when HP drops below 30%. Remaining 2 slots, Fervid, increase damage and reduce energy cost when HP is above 17%. Resilience, reduces the buff duration. Alternative to Resilience, Ethereal, eliminates full damage and allows you to use the environment for endless drops or baits, for example, near wind lifts. Shadowstrix is critically dependent on energy. Vitality and Fervid cover this need. The former provides a resources buffer, the latter reduces its cost when we are at high HP. Running out of energy in dangerous situation is a death sentence. All our escape tools are expensive, without energy we simply can't disengage. But Withered has a catch. It only works when your HP is above 17%. In trio mode I recommended swapping it for Strife. You lose health too quickly and might never get the bonus. Resilience is extremely useful against rangers and mages. They slow, freeze, and apply nasty damage over time debuffs, but there's also a hidden benefit. Withered Knight close to follow up his spear throw with a shield slam. With Resilience you'll break out of the stun in time and jump away, his combo falls apart. Here are my final builds. For solo I prefer the damage ring, for trio the resistance ring. Why? In trio we take more damage, the game becomes a resource war, and sometimes it's more important to survive a hit from multiple enemies than to squeeze out a little extra damage. Survivability matters more than damage here. You can flex affixes, for example, take Strife instead of Fervor and gives instant damage without stacking. I highly recommended Strife for trio mode. Full builds and the code you can get in my Telegram channel using the Gayword Shadowstrix Ultimate Guide, link is in description. Strength and Weaknesses, Technique and Matchups. Now let's break down Shadowstrix Strength and Weaknesses. Key techniques and combos, as well as the most important moments in fights against other classes. I won't cover every situation, that's impossible, but I will teach you how to understand the character, what to do, and what to pay attention to in the most unpleasant, difficult and common scenarios. Techniques. The first technique I want to show is the long jump. Here is how you do it. You perform a right click attack, cancel it with a dodge in any direction, and immediately press jump. I use mouse while scroll down for this. This allows you to jump further than a regular jump, and you don't get the dodge recovery debuff, unlike using Finger Rush normally. This technique saves a lot of time when moving around the map, especially when you're looking for loot. But there is an important catch. If you're playing from Russia or on European servers with 16 pings more, this technique might not work properly. The boost might not give you the full effect or might not work at all. Keep that in mind. The second technique is teleporting through doors. Sometimes if you tilt your camera up or find a pixel with a gap, you can teleport through textures. This doesn't happen often, but in some situations it can save your life or help you unexpectedly catch up to flying enemy. Now let's move on to combos. Let's start with dual blades. The first combo is a with a dodge. You press right click, cancel the attack with a dodge in any direction, and immediately use spinning slash. This lets us skip the global cooldown after the dodge, unlike just pressing dodge and then spinning splash. Then dodge in the direction your opening is moving, attack for an extra launch, and finish the combo with blade dance. The second combo is done on the spot. You land 3 basic attacks, then right click, and finish with blade dance. This combo is effective against bosses or in tight spaces. Now let's break down combos with solo dagger. The first combo revolves around flash strike. Your goal is to hit the enemy with the edge of the attack, so you end up behind them. Immediately after that, you turn your camera and land a heavy attack. You almost always have a window for this because the enemy gets a short stagger. The second combo is with Shadow Strike. After stunning the enemy, turn around and land a heavy attack first, then a light attack. Now let's talk about Shadowstrix Strength and Weaknesses. Shadowstrix is a character that relies on dodges and is critically depends on energy. He doesn't forgive mistakes. If you miss your abilities too often, your energy runs out quickly, your dodges stop regenerating, and you become a punching bag. But in return, with proper ability usage, you get insane mobility and create heavy pressure that's very hard to stop. And if your opponent tries to run, it becomes a fatal mistake for them. Now let's talk about matchups. We start with the Taos opponents, Blackarrow and Sorcerer. These classes are considered some of the hardest for us. Despite our mobility, one mistake or poor resource management, dodges and energy means defeat. But if you don't make mistakes, read your opponent, and don't engage on bad terms, the right combo won't leave them a single chance. Against Blackarrow, first and foremost, watch out for his slowing arrow. It reduces your dodge distance and deal damage when you dodge. Critical point. If you use free rolls in a row while under this debuff, you get stunned, that's practically a guaranteed death. Here is the strategy against Blackarrow. At the start of the fight, try to reflect his slowing arrow. Ideally, hit the archer himself with it, then he definitely won't escape. Remember the main rule, to kill Blackarrow and Sorcerer you need all your dodges, never engage without a full stack. Open the fight with a teleport. Super armor will prevent anyone from interrupting your initiation. Your goal from there is not to let him shot. Read his movements, constantly dodge with him, deal damage, and simultaneously reflect his debuffing or knockback shots. Wait for the enemy to use their dodge, and immediately follow up with spinning splash. Try to use all your resources, energy and dodges to create maximum pressure. If you missed more than one ability and didn't deal damage enough, continuing the fight is very risky. Better to reset, recover your resources and try again. The strategy against Sorcerer is the same, but with one difference. We die faster if we don't create pressure. You cannot stand still at all, Sorcerer doesn't forgive mistakes, on slow gains an experienced player and you're dead. The strategy is this: only engage with full dodges and full energy, open with the teleport for super armor. Pay attention to the ice shield. Those are icicles spinning above the enemy's head. Every hit you land on him sends one icicle at you. It takes 2 hits to freeze you. Now let me share a mechanic that few people know about. When Sorcerer uses his ice shield, get right next to him and use blade dance. Thanks to the Bloodthirst Frenzy talent, the icicles flying at you will reflect back at him. You won't get frozen and you'll deal extra damage with his own projectiles. Now let's talk about Withered Knight. If you come up against an experienced player who plays with shield, this matchup becomes difficult, because we can create the pressure we need. The shield blocks our main attacks. The key here is not to hit the shield and potentially wait for him mistakes. When he opens up, strike. If he switches to sword stance, that also gives us an opportunity to attack. Stay alert. Knight will often try to throw his spear at you, or use his hook and sword stance after your dodge or when you're about to drink a potion. Try to dodge this, or in the case of the spear, try to reflect the attack. If the engagement didn't go well, the opponent didn't make mistake, or you made too many errors, you can simply disengage without any trouble. Withered Knight has no tools to chase you down. And remember, if you're running from Withered Knight, never turn your back to him. He often uses the exact moment to throw a spear or pull you in. Be ready for it. Now about Mercenary. If Mercenary is playing with a hammer, everything is straightforward. He doesn't block with a shield, so he's open to our combos. You just need to dodge his abilities and counterattack during his openings. If you see an opportunity, you can also initiate yourself, but watch out for his super armor. Hammer Mercenary is always waiting for someone to get close so he can land massive damage. Keep that in mind, because he'll try to catch you in the moment. The difficult version is Mercenary with a parry shield. We can push through him directly. This is where you need your best skills: baiting, reading the game and punishing mistakes. Don't throw obvious attacks, they're easy to parry. Play more from counter attacks and don't miss the opportunity to catch him when he uses a healing potion. Now let's talk about Seer. If Seer is playing with the mace, nothing complicated. At the start of the fight he will always try to pull you in. It's easy to dodge, so just be ready for it. Seer has no shield or any strong defensive mechanics, so killing him won't be difficult. However, he does have a super armor buff. As soon as you see him activated, just run away and wait for it to expire. Or try to stun him, then you'll be able to land a few hits. When running away from him, remember, he has another launch besides the pool that can catch you, so make sure to look back. Now about Seer with wards. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any recordings against this type of opponent. He's extremely rare. He might seem annoying at first, but really, there is nothing difficult about fighting him. This build is very immobile, and he can only play around his wards, so you can always set the fight if something goes wrong. You play the same way as against Blackarrow and Sorcerer. Open with a teleport and start the fight with full energy and dodges, because you'll have to do a lot of running. Shadowstrix. Now let's talk about the mirror matchup. This is a mirror, which means outplaying your opponent comes down to pure skill. Try not to miss your abilities and avoid making mistakes. When you're fighting against a mirror, it's important to remember: both of you are playing around resources, dodges and energy. If someone takes the initiative early, and you miss a couple of abilities, resetting the fight becomes very difficult. Chances are, you'll just lose. So don't panic and don't press buttons mindlessly. A good strategy to take the initiative early is to use your teleport first, before your opponent does. Because you get super armor, and your engagement will be very hard to interrupt. And it's unlikely your opponent will be able to teleport away from you. If they manage to escape, they should lose more resources than you in the process. Here I've included a couple of duels against Movies, one of the best players on his class. Just watch and learn. Какие бы ты дал советы новичку, который только учится на классе играть? Ну вот человек выбрал класс, понял, Shadowstrix, вот он 2-3 дня играет. Какие бы ты дал советы, на что обратить внимание, вот как вот стать лучше?
Обратить внимание в первую очередь на менеджмент стамины, потому что слишком важно именно за игру, за роги. И я не умею, я не знаю, я просто играю интуитивно, я не знаю, что сказать. У меня все действия без плана. Больше, короче, холодного мышления на роге надо, потому что тебе нужно подлавливать человека и не отпускать.
Now let's talk about trio mode. In T-play, Crowstorm becomes a very effective skill, especially when combined with the talent that increases its radius and adds a stun. This turns into a truly dangerous tool, particularly on the mob vanguard, where there are many narrow corridors. I recommend taking Crow Storm instead of Flash Stride, but depending on your team composition or personal preference. If you want to keep more mobility, you can give up Shadow Strike instead. The skill is especially effective if your team has targeted or, even better, area of effect crowd control. For example, a match with a Black Hole, Stardust Sorcerer. But it's important to understand, Crash Talk can be used only to try and stun someone. You can also use it to limit the enemy's available space. This will force them to leave a position that's bad for you, or on the contrary, open up and expose themselves to your attacks. The most important thing, when playing Shadowstrix in trio, don't panic and manage your resources wisely, because if you find yourself next to the enemy team without energy and without dodges, you risk dying instantly. Constantly assess the situation around you and choose the best moment to engage. Sometimes it's better not to press a button at all than to press it poorly and to have no options when you really needed them. Shadowstrix is ideal for eliminating ranged characters, such as Blackarrow and Sorcerer. You create great pressure, you have a lot of damage, and it's very hard to escape from you. But don't forget, you can provoke the enemy frontline to turn on you, at the moment your team needs to support you. If you're playing with 2 DPS, remember that if enemy bruiser jump on them, they simply won't be able to play. In such a situation, sometimes it's more beneficial to switch targets into time rather than chase and flank enemy, and help your teammate if you're not sure you can finish the target. Don't forget that Mistfall Hunter is a game about resources, and the one who manages them better always ends up in advantageous position. There are too many possible compositions in the game to cover them all. Always discuss your plan and strategy with your friends before the game. Agree on which abilities you'll combine together, who will primarily fight from, and who will use a defensive skill in time to help stabilize. Final thought. To wrap up this section, remember the main thing. The best way to learn how to play the game is to duel on the arena every day against every class you lose to. You need to accumulate a lot of experience. Without it, you lose often. This isn't the kind of game where you can read the guide and instantly become a top player. It took me about 2 to 3 days of playing Shadowstrix before I started having a stable positive win rate. And even now, I sometimes put up to 3 hours in practice just playing against my friends. This is a character that falls into hard to learn, hard to master category. Difficult to learn, but even more difficult to master completely. But trust me, once you start feeling the character, it's absolutely worth it. I hope my video was useful for you. I'll be regularly streaming on Twitch and recording educational and interesting videos on YouTube. Feel free to drop by the stream if you have any questions or if you want to review a replay after a lose. I can help you figure out what went wrong. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on a lot of cool content. Also, if you have any suggestions for future videos, or maybe you'd like to see a guide for your main, let me know in the comments. And who knows, maybe in the future I'll make your idea happen. See ya!